Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and freelance editor, and today I'm sharing a couple of my tips and thoughts for you regarding what to do when NaNoWRIMO ends. Now, this will apply to you whether or not you won NaNoWRIMO. It kind of just gives you guidance, I guess, for like it's like the slump after NaNoWRIMO, for me at least, kind of feels like partly depressing and partly just like a humongous relief that I don't have to be writing all those words every single day anymore. So it's just my guidance, things that I have learned over the years, and kind of how to handle December, January, and beyond after participating in National Novel Writing Month. So if you are looking for some tips, a little bit of guidance, then let's get started. Okay, my first tip for you is to allow yourself to just take some time off. NaNoWRIMO, especially if you win NaNoWRIMO, or even if you were just working really hard, you know, on your novel during November, whether you won or not, whether you wrote 20,000 words or 50,000 words, you know, however it went for you, it's a difficult month. It can be a really stressful month because you are working so hard and trying so hard. So December for me is always a month of rest and relaxation. I just allow myself to not write anything, to not write a single word. And this always comes with a little bit of discomfort, usually a little bit of like guilt creeps in, because during NaNoWRIMO, you get so used to writing every single day, or even if you're not writing every single day, you're writing frequently, you know, you're writing a lot of words, writing for long periods of time. So suddenly December arrives and you're like, oh, I don't have to write anymore. And it can feel a little bit strange and off. So my first tip is to take some time off and don't guilt yourself for it. Don't feel bad for stepping away from your project. It's just a month. It's just 1 month out of your life. Just allow yourself to relax, you know? Hang out with family, play a video game, read a book, watch some Christmas movies, just like hang out and allow yourself to just chill for the month of December. I think all of us need that and could really use that. But also, something to keep in mind is that you don't have to force yourself to take time away. If you feel like you're in a really good place, or if you're really excited to work on this project, you don't have to force yourself to take time off. December is there for you to just relax and rejuvenate if you need to, but if you're really excited about your project, then by all means, you can continue to work on it into the month of December. I like to use December as a month to really refill my creative well, and something I've discovered is that when I allow myself to not work on anything, when I allow myself to just be, and my creative well fills back up, I tend to get more ideas. So I did not participate in NaNoWRIMO this year just because of a slew of reasons. The fall was really difficult for me. But last year, was it last year? So 2018, it was 2018. November of 2018, I wrote 50,000 words of the second Song of the DRYAD book for NaNoWRIMO, and I won, but I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't really happy with the work I had done, so I took December off, and I spent that month playing video games and relaxing and just having a good time. And I refilled my well to the point where when January arrived, I actually did like a JanuWRIMO, and I ended up writing Pistol Daisy in 2 weeks. I wrote an entire new novel. Granted, it's kind of like a novella length. I wrote an entire novella in 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of January, and I'll link those videos down below if you're interested in my like little JanuWRIMO vlogs I did. And the reason I was able to do that is because I gave myself all of December off to not worry about writing, to not worry about being creative or coming up with story ideas or anything like that, and it rejuvenated me to the point where I was able to write an entire novella in 2 weeks in January. So if you need it, give yourself December, relax, rejuvenate, get some new ideas, and then once January arrives, it's a new year. People tend to feel more get up and go. People tend to have more energy in January. We're setting goals for the new year, and there's a lot more excitement, I want to say, for refocusing your energies on large projects. So if you need to, take December off. My second tip is, once January arrives, is to finish the project you were working on if you didn't already finish it back in November. You know, you've worked so hard on this project. Even if you're frustrated with it, it would do you well to finish the project. And part of this is just the fact that finishing a book is hard. I always struggle to write a first draft, except with Pistol Daisy. For some reason, Pistol Daisy was the easiest first draft I've ever written in my life. You know, writing the first draft is really, really difficult. Figuring out the story, oh my gosh, figuring out the story is so hard. But once you do that, and once you're into the editing phase, at least for me, it gets so much easier. So I encourage you to push through. If you don't finish your novel this month in November, push through in January and finish that draft. Not only are you going to feel really good about yourself and about your work ethic and your project once you finish it, but it's also teaching you good habits. It's teaching you how to finish projects, because it took me years to finish a project. I would write, you know, however many words and then abandon it, and that was like a habit that I had gotten into, and I had almost convinced myself that I could never finish a book because I did that so many times. So if you are in that boat especially, and you're like, man, I'm trying so hard, I haven't been able to finish a book, pick that book back up in January and finish it. Even if you think it sucks, even if it's difficult, you have to know that every single book you write is going to be difficult, and you're going to think it sucks at some point, so you just have to learn how to push through it. So if you have not already finished your project, if you did not finish it in November, which a lot of people are not going to finish writing an entire book for NaNoWriMo, and pick it back up in January when you're feeling rested and rejuvenated, and finish that draft. Okay, my third tip, once you are finished with this project, you know, whether you finished it in November or whether you picked it back up in December or January or February, you know, however this plays out for you, once you're done with the project, order a proof copy. I love getting proof copies from KDP because they are super cheap. Like, I think my Pistol Daisy proof copies were like $6 or $7 each, and then it was just a little bit in shipping. So I was getting a proof copy for like $15, and as far as I know, that is way cheaper than actually printing it out on printer paper. I think that is just, personally, that's not the way to go. I don't like printing out, you know, 300 pages of my personal printer paper. I love just getting a proof copy from KDP. So the reason I recommend that you get it in a physical copy is because, one, it is super exciting. When you see this book that you have spent so many hours toiling away on, and it is in a physical copy, and you have maybe made a little cover for it, and you've done a little bit of formatting and made your little title page and everything, you're going to feel super proud of yourself. And that is hugely inspirational when it comes to kind of powering through the next rounds of edits and, you know, the next 5 drafts or however many drafts you're going to do of this book. So I highly recommend getting it printed out for that reason alone, just to be able to say, look at what I wrote, and you can literally put it on your shelf. It's an amazing feeling. And also it feels different to read on paper. It's not the same as reading on a screen. It's not the same as reading, you know, on your phone or an e-reader. Having something physically in front of you, this paper with your words on it, feels almost surreal. So I highly recommend you get yourself a proof copy or print it out if you really want to, but that's not my recommendation. And while you're reading through it, update your outline. Even if you're not an outliner, and I know a lot of people for NaNoWriMo especially, they don't do outlines, which is fine, but once you have your first draft finished, I find it helpful even for pantsers to outline what you currently have. So you had your fun, you know, pantsing your way through an entire story, but it can be difficult to remember all the things that you put in your book, especially if you don't have an outline. So whether you're a pantser or a plotter, I'd recommend while you're reading this book, create an outline for yourself of what you actually have on the page, and also make a list of any little editing notes you think of while you're working through it. Because remember, now that your first draft is done, you're going to have to dive into the editing trenches, and you're going to have to go through multiple drafts to get this book as clean as possible. But I love editing. Editing is my favorite part. So for me, it's really exciting. I prefer editing way more than actually writing the first draft. So create your outline while you're reading through your physical copy, and write down any editing notes that you can think of. You know, you're reading through and you're like, man, I should get rid of this character. You know, just jot that note down. Or, you know, I think I should change the setting here. Or, oh, I'm noticing that I have some white room syndrome going on. You don't have to fix it, okay? You're just reading through your book. You're not fixing anything. You're just jotting notes down for yourself while you're enjoying the process of reading through your draft in an actual book form. I think this is tip number 4, is to make a fun list of goals for yourself moving forward. You know, something that will inspire you. Like look at different cover designers, you know, decide on a few cover designers I like, or start thinking about editors that I might want to work with, or start thinking about the way that I want my book to look, like the interior formatting and the interior book design. What do I want this to look like? By setting these fun goals for yourself, it's going to keep you inspired to keep moving forward. Because if you're like, all right, I know what cover designer I want to work with, then you have to finish the book in order to get to the point where you can work with that cover designer. So make a fun list of goals for yourself. You can put it in a bullet journal. You can create like a poster board, like a, what are those things called? Not a dream board, aspiration board, inspiration board, something like that. Put an inspiration board together with your fun goals for this project so that these goals help inspire you to continue moving forward even on the hard days, because there are going to be a lot of hard days when it comes to finishing a project. And then my fifth and final tip is to watch the video, it'll be linked down below, my video on how to edit a first draft, because once you are finished with your first messy draft after NaNoWriMo, real work truly begins. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because writing the first draft is seriously real work, hardest part of the process for me. But the nitty-gritty work begins, you know, really having to work on your voice and your storytelling skills and your characters and plot development and story arcs, and all of that happens during the editing phase. So I have an entire video about that. You can check it out down below if you are interested. So those are my 5 like kind of quick and easy tips and ideas, guidance for you after you finish NaNoWriMo, whether you win or not. It's a real bummer that I wasn't able to participate this year, but that's just how life goes. Sometimes it's like I do not have the time to dedicate myself to a project in November, but next year I will be writing a book with you guys. I cannot wait. So I hope you find these tips helpful. Again, there will be videos linked down below, at least one video. I can't remember how many I've mentioned. I'm gonna have to go back during editing and see which ones I need to link down there. I hope you find this helpful. I hope NaNoWriMo went really well for you. I hope you had a wonderful time with it, whether you won, whether you lost, whether you wrote 500 words or 50,000 words. I hope you had a wonderful time, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of this year. I'm going to try to put out a lot of videos in December. I'm kind of feeling inspired. It's just like the YouTube roller coaster, emotional YouTube roller coaster that I go up and down, but I'm going to try to put out a bunch of videos this December. I hope you will enjoy them. And that's about all I have to say. If you are looking for an editor or a book formatter, come check us out at enchantedinkpublishing.com. That will be linked down below as well. We are booking into 2021. So if you think you would like to work with us, make sure you are emailing us and filling out a contact form sooner rather than later. All right, that is all I have for you today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.